Okay. Good morning, and welcome to our Wednesday morning sit here in California. And I don't hear in this wider San Francisco Bay Area, it's starting to feel like the whole society is on retreat. There's a quiet and lots of space. Yesterday, for a short while, I walked down the middle of the road. It was really spacious because there were no cars on the road, at least the particular road I was walking on. It's a time of, and maybe even an opportunity for some people, of a very different relationship and connection to life, to themselves, where time has slowed down. Space has opened up. And just like for meditators, a chance to unify, collect themselves, settle themselves on themselves. So here, now, for the next half an hour, we'll sit in a 30 minutes that maybe has lots of time, all the time that's needed. Perhaps even if we get quiet, a time of no time. And to feel the weight of your body against your cushion or your chair. Your weight of your body where gravity holds you to this great earth. Offering you support. And then from the place where you feel the support of the great earth, to feel the rest of your body, your torso perhaps upright. And there is a kind of life force, energetic force that keeps us upright, arising up away from the pull of gravity. And this balance between a force which pulls us towards the earth and the uprightness that lifts us to the skies. And in between all that is the vibrant, sensual body. And you might take a few moments to feel how the body experiences itself. The sensations that come into play, if your attention is in your body, but in a relaxed way, receptive and curious. What is the experience of body today? What parts of the body feel activated with sensations and energy? What parts of the body has very little sensations that are not activated particularly? And what parts of the body are activated as you're breathing? What parts of the body move? What parts of the body tingle or vibrate or it can be interesting to take a few moments to feel the movements of your back rib cage as you breathe. For people who control their breathing, the back rib cage can be a refuge, because sometimes there's very little sense of control there. The movements of the back rib cage simply follow along with the breathing. And as you now sit, mindful of your breath, of breathing, you might have an attitude and perhaps the mental note that says yes, an attitude of yes to the experience of breathing, regardless of how it is. Just yes, this is the breathing of the moment. And maybe even imagining that your breathing responds with its own yes to you being aware of it. It's a good thing for the body. When the body is known, is recognized, when breathing is known and recognized, it's good for the breathing. Yes, just this breath. Gently, softly. No hurry. Lots of space in awareness for however it is right now, with the breathing at the center of it all. The regular rhythm of breathing can underlie or move through whatever is happening in your experience, helping you to shift the mind from being focused on thinking to being focused on sensing and feeling the body breathing. as you breathe in, see if you can relax parts of your torso, your chest, your diaphragm, so that the breathing in is slightly more full or complete, not by forcing it, but by relaxing. And the same thing as you exhale. Relax, soften, let go, especially at the end of the exhale. So ever so slightly, the exhale is a little longer, fades away a little bit more fully. And as you exhale, perhaps if it's easy enough, soften your body. Relax the places of holding, even if it's just a gentle softening around the tension. And as you're breathing in and breathing out, perhaps you can also soften the thinking muscle. Relax any tension, pressure or tightness associated with thinking or associated with even the effort to be mindful. Perhaps as you exhale, soften and broaden the thinking muscle. And then as we come to the end of this sitting, is there anything about how you feel right now that is useful for you, that is beneficial? Are you a little bit more settled or calm? Or are you a little bit more self-aware of the tricks of the mind, the themes of concern and worry that you have? Or do you feel a little bit more open-hearted or inspired? I could go on and on with a list, but there's anything the way you feel right now that's beneficial. Beneficial for you, that you would like to have as a reference point, a touchstone for how you would live your life. And then to give a few moments thought to how you feel. How is it that how you feel right now could also be a benefit to others? And may it be that you support others. Intentionally and unintentionally. May your practice be for the benefit and welfare and freedom of all beings everywhere. May all beings be happy. So thank you. Thank you for the opportunity to meditate together. And I certainly appreciate the chance to meditate with others. And so this week in these morning talks, the theme is the Pali word Saddha, S-A-D-D-H-A, often translated into English as faith, sometimes as confidence, and sometimes as conviction. And today I'd like to talk a little bit about the aspect of Saddha that fits the English word conviction. In my vocabulary, the word conviction is a very powerful word. In fact, I feel some caution around the word conviction, because if someone has a strong conviction about something, it can be a little dangerous. They could just go ahead and do what they feel is right, irregardless of what other people, the impact on other people. And conviction can also be quite inspiring, because it's the strength of confidence, of belief in something that can really override a lot of the obstacles that might arise in a person's life, or obstacles for the activity they're doing. And conviction can give effort, the things we try to do, a sense of persistence in spite of the difficulties. And so when this word Saddha has a very strong association in Buddhism with an activity, the activity of practice, the activity of spiritual development and growth, the activity of being mindful and present for our experience. And to have a strong conviction that this is valuable is really then allows a person to persist, rain or shine, to persist whether it's easy or whether it's difficult, because the conviction is really clear, it's certain. There's a certainty in conviction. Now the English word conviction has a Latin root, meaning kind of to conquer with something. The con means with, and the viction, it's like victory or victor, is a Latin word, vicere, I think. And to conquer, to win. And in the circles that I travel, circles of English-speaking society, there's been a strong tendency to want to downplay war imagery or metaphors for Buddhist practice because it seems violent. But in fact, we find in Buddhism that the metaphors of war are often used in Buddhism, but not for purpose of war, not for the purposes of violence, but to emphasize, I think, sometimes the heroic effort that's needed, the strong effort we need to overcome things which are afflictive, overcome aspects of our inner life which are causing harm. And we certainly don't want to I think the danger of this war kind of metaphor of conquering is sometimes reinforces the idea some people have that part of who they are is wrong or bad, and it kind of reinforces a self-criticism or a self-deprecation that many people are struggling with already. And so we have to be very careful with this language, but maybe occasionally it's useful to use it. And that this idea of conviction arises in Buddhism when someone has overcome challenges, especially their own psychological challenges having to do with some forms of clinging or attachment that they have, some form of craving or being caught or entangled. When I first years in which I was doing Buddhist practice, I was kind of in awe of from time to time when my meditation got, my mind got soft enough, quiet enough, still enough in meditation that the thoughts and feelings and motivations that I had been entangled with and swirling with and caught up in and agitated in everyday life quieted down. And to feel the quiet and peace that was absent of that swirl and agitation, it felt like a homecoming. It felt like now I'm really myself. Now I can breathe. There's breathing room for me here. And now I'm no longer in a certain way distracted from myself, distracted from life. I'm here in a full way. And what had happened one way of understanding what had happened in the course of those meditations is that I had overcome or settled or conquered temporarily these forces that had in the past conquered me. They had won over me, and I was just going along as kind of the under command of these mental forces that were running me, and it became so clear that I was under control of them when I sat to meditate and felt a swirl being pulled into those thoughts over and over again. And so to no longer be caught by those and to have overcome them, become free of them, was really eye-opening to me. And I became convinced that this was possible. I had a clear sense that I didn't have to live in the agitated mode the rest of my life. I had a conviction that yes, there is another way. And that other way is to, we could say to become free of those. Another way of saying it is to have conquered them, to have somehow got the upper hand over them. And the advantage of using words like conquer is it really implies a strength and a power of certainty, a power of practice, a power of presence. Whereas freedom has a feeling like it doesn't necessarily imply that. It just means like now nothing's bothering me, and I can just go along as I did before. But if we really have become stronger through the practice, then the practice is more portable. We can meet further obstacles and have the conviction, yes, I can do this. I can practice through this. But remember that this idea of conviction that I'm talking about today comes in the wake of really seeing the difference between being caught and not being caught. And that's what gives born to conviction. It's not a conviction necessarily in a creed or a belief, but rather in a possibility of personal transformation, of change. In the Buddha's teaching, he has a particular word that could be translated as conviction that's related to the word Saddha. It's a partner to Saddha. It's faith that has been confirmed faith. And the word is avecca pasada. And avecca means something like, it comes out of the word to know something for yourself. And pasada refers to a kind of faith or confidence that is peaceful, that has a serenity or a peacefulness to it. And some translators translated it as unshakable confidence, maybe unshakable conviction, or maybe, because the first word avecca means what you can know for yourself, it's a faith or confidence or conviction based on knowledge, based on what you know for yourself. And this idea that it's unshakable, like now I know this is possible. I'm not always in touch with it. I'm not there always, but I know. I've had the experience. I know this is possible. I know these things can be put down. I don't have to be caught in their grip. And then have conviction. Yes, this is worthwhile. Be on a path to become free of this. One of the reasons I liked, especially this week, the word conviction and its association with conquering, is that sometimes the challenges we live under are huge. Sometimes people, get sick and have stage 4 cancer and have all kinds of personal challenges and losses in their life, or they live in war zones, or they live in times of a social crisis like we are now, in a sense, with this COVID-19 virus, and where our whole society is really turned upside down, been disrupted. And so much of the life, and especially in places like here, where we're in the Bay Area, where we're sheltered in place, where there's laws put in place that tell us you have to stay home, and except for essential, things to go out. That's a huge disruption in our life. And in this time and place, what is called for? What is it that we really want to muster and arouse within ourselves? And what becomes most important? And if the more we're challenged, the more we're upset or afraid or distressed by all the changes that we're facing, the greater is the value of conviction. I know something, I believe, I value, I have faith in something different than the conviction that fear should drive the car. I have conviction that something that I don't have to kind of live in the distress and act and be motivated by my distress. There is another way. So to have faith and confidence that has power in it, so that we're willing to engage our practice, to be honest and clear and present and compassionate for our experience of this life. That's the direction to go. That's what we want to base our life on. That's what we will base our life on, rather than mindlessly perhaps or habitually succumbing to some of the forces which are not beneficial for us. To have conviction in doing what is beneficial. To have conviction that there is a possibility of freedom and overcoming the obstacles we live under, especially those that are psychological obstacles we have. It's not easy, it takes time, it takes patience, it takes love, it takes compassion. It takes a lot of care, but it's worthwhile. And I hope that as you develop and continue in your practice, that you also will develop a peaceful, maybe even happy conviction in the value of your practice. Thank you.